I called it the progress sabotage cycle. And we have this, I do this all the time too, especially rewarding yourself back into the hole. Everybody knows when you say this what that means. So the pattern with everybody is super familiar and practically predictable in most guys. You'll see them do this one way or another. For example, one is like you'll work out consistently for 3 weeks, right? Then you reward yourself with a weekend of junk food, or you'll skip a gym session, something like that, right? Or you'll save money for 2 whole months, then you'll blow it on something expensive because you think you, quote, deserve it. It's this deserving shit, right? So you'll build a solid morning routine, but then you'll dick around on the weekend or something. You'll stay up late scrolling on your phone because you earned some time to relax. It's a very stupid way of, how could I explain this? We're almost creating kind of like an economy in our minds where we build up enough of this currency of doing good and then we get to spend it on being bad. And it's the wrong way to think about this shit. Yep. So then you have because the logic, look, it feels sound, right? Just a small break, just a weekend, just this once, just a little bit, right? A little reward for all the hard work. But somehow, just this once, that shit always turns into a, like, falling back into the same patterns that you spent weeks or months breaking out of. Within days, you'll find yourself deeper in a hole than when you start, always, practically. And then you'll wonder how you managed to do it again. How did I screw myself over again? And the most, like, frustrating part about this entire thing, it's not the actual setback itself. It's using the progress as a justification to abandon the very things that created the progress in the first place. That shit's infuriating when you look back on it. And then the cycle is, like, so common. You might as well call this a human condition, honestly. And all people, you see this. So, the building momentum, doing good for yourself, you start to feel better. You get all these results, right? Get positive feedback. Then instead of continuing what works, you use the good feelings as permission, in a sense, to go back to what wasn't working, right? It's like celebrating a successful diet by eating a pizza or something. Or you reward yourself by getting out of debt by making a big purchase of something you can't afford. Like, I've been so good. I've saved so much money. Time to buy a new car because I deserve it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on the outside, but somehow you convince yourself because it seems reasonable in the moment, right? We all say it. I've been so disciplined. I deserve a break. I've made progress. So a little backsliding won't hurt. Let my foot off the pedal. It's okay, right? I earned the right to indulge just a little bit. But what you're really doing is you're training your brain to associate the progress with permission to regress, right? You turn success into a trigger essentially for self-sabotage. So you would wonder, like, so why does this actually happen? Because I think your brain interprets progress as safety, if this makes sense. So once you've made an improvement, like losing some weight, got a few pounds shaved off, or you save some money, right? Or you build some good habit that you're proud of, it's the urgency that drove you to that change starts to fade. So the discomfort that motivated you to change in the first place, it gets replaced by comfort from the progress you made. But comfort itself is the enemy of the continued effort that you've been building. So when you feel safe, you stop doing the things that made you safe, if that makes sense. So it's like, when you're taking antibiotics and then they tell you you got to take it for the full 10 days, although like on day 6, you feel great and you think you don't need to take them anymore just because you feel better. And then you'll wonder when you get off of them early, why the infection comes back worse than before. So your brain starts rationalizing in the same way. Since you proved that you could make progress, it figures you could always do some great progress in the future again, right? So taking a break feels low risk in the moment. You can always get back on track tomorrow, next week, after this weekend. Diet starts Monday. How many times have you heard that shit? Diet starts Monday. Diet starts Monday. I've dieted before. Yeah, exactly. So diet starts Monday until many Mondays have passed and you wake up years later and nothing's changed. So, the getting back on track. Yes. So the getting back on track, it gets harder each time because you're not just dealing with the original problem anymore. You're dealing with the disappointment and self-doubt that comes from the repeated self-sabotage. Like it seeds in your mind, dude, how many more Mondays do I need until I get my shit together? How many more months have to pass until I keep looking like a slob, right? It starts weighing down on you. At one point, it's so heavy that you don't ever start at all. right? That excitement of I'll get back into it, it'll be no problem, is weighed by a ton of shit of I failed so many times. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. I don't know if that's just who I am. Oh, life's too busy. Oh, I got too much going on. There's always some sort of excuse. It doesn't matter. The fact is that they add up and then you get into debt. And that's that feeling where you never start in the first place. So that's kind of a slippery slope, but you have to be very careful of this reward mindset because it's particularly toxic because it treats the good habits like punishment that requires compensation. Do you understand? So working out becomes something you suffer through so you can earn the right to be lazy. That's a horrible way to be thinking about this shit. Or, eating well becomes something you endure so you can justify eating garbage later. This framework will ensure that you'll never actually enjoy the process of improvement. Every positive action becomes a debt that needs to be repaid with a negative one. What a strange framework to live by, yeah? And worse, it'll create a transactional relationship with yourself where progress must be paid for with regression of all things. Instead of just being someone who works out regularly, you have to earn breaks from working out. You think that person has the lasting power to become the person who just works out because that's who they are? If you're constantly accruing that debt, right? Rather than simply eating, for example, you're a person that eats clean because it feels good. Instead, you have to eat clean to earn your cheat meals, right? Through suffering. How is this? It's like a constant internal negotiation. It's exhausting, dude. It's unsustainable. Eventually, you'll burn out from the effort that it takes for you to be clean or working out, or you'll just give up because the reward system, it'll make the whole process feel like you're being deprived of something. Deprived of what? Garbage food? Deprived of a day off to be a fat on the couch? That's what you're being deprived of, but that's how you framed it in your mind. So it seems like doing something that's a good for you, that makes you feel good, that's healthy, is somehow accruing a sort of debt that you get to pay off with something good. So, right? So to break this cycle, you have to change how you think about progress and rewards in your brain. Progress shouldn't be something that you achieve once and then maintain through willpower. It's just something you become through repetition, right? So the goal isn't to reach a point where you can stop doing the things that work, but to get to this point where doing those things becomes automatic. It's a part of you. I work out because that's what I do. I feel good when I do it. It's not something extra, like extra effort, or there's a reward at the end, like I get to eat bad. Same thing with losing weight. I just eat clean because I like how I feel in the weight lost, and it's great to have a nice body. Not that I'm killing myself on this strict diet because I want to eat burgers and pizza on the weekend. No, it's just I feel great doing this. This is who I am. There is no reward at the end. The reward is the process itself, right? The activity becomes the reward. Instead of tolerating workouts so you can earn the rest days, man, same shit. You do it because you feel strong and capable. That's it. You're not suffering anymore. So the process then becomes like intrinsically rewarding. You don't need the external anymore to undermine your progress. You also have to recognize that taking a break from good habits isn't actually restful, right? It's just returning to the state that created the original problem. Okay, going to eat a pizza isn't you doing something good for yourself, a feel good. It's actually going to make you feel like shit. Taking that day off from the gym or working out or the weekend off, when you know you feel good going to the gym, you're not going to feel better sitting on the couch. You're going to feel like shit. And then a day later, you're going to be like, I should have went to the gym. What the fuck was I doing? Or that night when you go to sleep, you're tossing and turning in the bed going like, dude, I have nothing but energy right now. I should have went to the gym. What was I thinking? Right? The real rest will come from the confidence and the energy that good habits provide, not from abandoning them and going back to your old self. And the guys that sustain this kind of shit long term, it's not necessarily that they have more willpower or discipline than you. They just stopped treating the progress like a debt that needs to be repaid with that regression. So instead of working out for, say, something like 3 weeks and then rewarding themselves with a week off or some shit like that, they just work out because they're the kind of person who works out. It's that simple. They don't need to take some time off. It would feel strange for them and uncomfortable because that's not who you are. Right? Just like going to McDonald's or eating fast food doesn't sit well with you because you don't do that. It's no longer a reward for eating clean for a couple of weeks. So, for example, saving money for 2 months, then blowing it on something expensive. You'll save because you're trying to build towards something important. And spending it frivolously will feel like destroying your own work. Right? Or building yourself like a good routine that eventually you'll abandon for what? It won't feel good. You create these routines because it gives you the life you want to live. That's the entire point. You're not in a good spot right now. That's why you're developing great habits today. The great habits will make you feel better tomorrow. And when you feel better tomorrow, don't sabotage the good habits by going back to who you were yesterday. It's really that simple. Simple to say out loud until you're in the moment and your brain makes the split second decision of, do I want to be the guy I used to be or do I want to be the guy I dream of being? It's really that simple. And with that, I'll open it up to you guys. What do you think?
Well, I think part of the problem with what you're talking about is that people also don't work on their total environment. You know,
Mm,
they like game. Let's take gaming for example. I haven't really done any gaming for years, and when I do it, it was with my sons, and we do it like once every couple of months. We get everybody together, and we just go all out. We stay up till whatever in the morning, but that's
mm,
about it. I suck, and I get killed a lot because I just don't play them anymore because it doesn't interest me like it used to. But I changed my environment, or you get like you're talking about with working out and stuff. You surround yourself with, guys at the gym instead of guys around the couch and stuff. You change your environment. So I think you're less likely to slip or have your little cheat days or whatever if you've got better reinforcement through a better environment you've created for yourself too. So I
mm.
think working on yourself specifically in those areas, but also improving your overall environment is also key to staying consistent. Because I agree with you. The I've done it too. I've been off and on. A lot of it's because working 80, 96 hours a week in a job where I am sitting down a lot at my desk in a housing unit. For example, there's not a lot of activity unless if there's activity, it means everything's gone to shit and it's a fucking nightmare all at once in an instant.
Yeah.
Oh God. But other than that, I've noticed a gaining weight, not being able to work out consistently or at all, where I'm trying to figure out a way to have a half an hour shaved off in the morning out of 4 or 5 hours that I've got total for the day to
Mm.
do something. And it's exhausting, but that's kind of I'm kind of an extreme case with that, I suppose. Most people have, more hours through the day to actually do stuff, and
Definitely.
they do make excuses. So, but
Yeah.
I think the environment part there would be something to look at. Just who you talk to, who you associate with, where you're living, what you're
Mm,
doing with yourself. But yeah, the reward thing is a cop out to me. Like you said, eating a I tried that once, and I find eating pizza or something, you feel like shit. It's like going to McDonald's for the first time in 6 months. You feel like total garbage, and you're like, why the fuck did I eat that? It doesn't even taste good.
oh, yeah,
I think you're remembering how it used to be before, where it might have been
exactly.
good or whatever it was, and you're trying to go back to that, and then it's just total shit. But yeah,
It's a feeling.
environment. I would think about that.
Yeah, it's a feeling you're chasing. You're remembering the feeling, not even the taste or how full you felt eating the burger. It's just it made you feel good in a otherwise bad moment. People cope with
Yep.
food, for example, all the time. So then you're chasing, well, I want to feel good again. I've been eating clean for so long. I want to feel good again. Your brain goes to
Yep.
biting down on that nasty fast food that made me feel good that exact moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Or that
Hmm.
shitty American chocolate bar that tastes like crap now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
But yeah, this process is super deadly. We all do it to different extents, and some guys are more susceptible than others, or go longer doing the whole feedback loop where they reward themselves with bad habits. So I used to have this problem. I still do, but there was a time before where I would make incredible progress, like in the gym, with my diet, just in general, reading books and whatever else I set my mind to. And then I would get into this nasty groove where I'm seeing my life literally changing before my eyes in like 6 months. People are magnetizing to me. I'm making new connections, new mutual friends, hiking with the boys every other week, setting up plans, all this stuff, and sharing all these new ideas I'm learning from the stuff I'm reading. And business is getting better. Everything. My life's improving. Then I go, you know what, dude? I've been going so hard. Like, I deserve some time off. Let me dick around. Oh, maybe smoke some weed. Oh, let's go have this giant XXL burger, greasy as shit. Let's go. And then I start to feel like shit. Um, I remember one time I was absolutely shredded, and I was like, you know what, dude, this is the best I've ever looked. Let me go have a fucking burger. Went to some place in Phoenix that's known for these monster size, practically diabetic monstrosities, dude, just crazy monster burger. Smashed one of those, felt like I couldn't move for a day, and literally was like, well, I already had a shitty burger. I'm not working out today. I could afford time off, dude. I have abs, veins on them. I could afford 2 days off the gym is nothing. Third day, f- that. I'm just going to chill. By the time I was done with that bullshit, weeks had passed, and going back into the gym felt like starting over again. And then I got so dejected and demotivated, I derailed myself from a burger. A burger one
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah, mine was a piece of pecan pie. I had gone with the only sugar I had was sugar in, actual fruit I would eat, or sugar that was, in the bread already, or something like that. And I lost like 8 or 9 pounds and was way less bloated in like a week or so. And then we went to the hell was it? Some falls up here, Tequamanon Falls up here, pretty big falls we have, and they had this pecan pie piece that was rather thick, and I decided that well, I'm just going to have this one piece of pie. I hadn't had anything, and it had been about 2 months that I hadn't had any sugar really to speak of at all. And because they didn't happen to have it that day, because I was thinking, well, I'll just have one piece. They didn't have it. Well, now I want pecan pie, so then I got a small one at Meyer up here, and then that was the start of the fall again. You know what I mean? That
Yep.
one thing, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the same thing. I deserve this, or whatever the fuck I was thinking.
Yeah. Once you break that cycle, magic happens. And that's quite literally one of the hardest things to combat, because in the moment, you convince yourself. Because look, it's on the heels of doing good. So it's almost
Yep.
logically sound. Like, dude, I've been crushing it. I've been doing great. Like, I made so much progress. So what's a pecan pie?
Yep. In
Everything.
your
It turns out
environment,
it's everything.
your family's like, yeah, you deserve it. Instead of having an environment of other guys are like, dude, don't do that. If you do that, you're gonna go downward. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. And you don't have the pie. But if you're amongst an environment of friends and family, like, yeah, you
Yeah.
deserve that piece of pie. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Reinforcing shit.
Yeah, it's hard
People
to
are
check
dumb.
yourself, especially when you got friends and family around you that are soft. You almost have to go in with a clear mind of understanding, hey, I'm going to start look at it from a third person's perspective. I know I'm going to make some crazy progress. There will be a time where I'm stressed out, or I have a craving or a memory of something that made me feel good, and I'm going to want to do that habit or eat that food.
Nope.
I need to understand that if I ask the ones around me, they will indulge with me because they're in the state of mind of indulgence, because they're okay with where they're at. Unless you're dating somebody or have a group of friends that are like, the top 1%, type A go-getter personality that doesn't slip up at all, which most of us don't have those people around us all the time. So most likely you don't. Well, in your case, you're going to have to realize that you can't go to them for any help, any emotional support while you're feeling weak. Because the moment you tell, let's just say your woman or your friends, like, hey, let's go grab a beer. Hey, let's go get some pecan pie for the weekend. Hey, let's go. Of course it's yes. Totally, bro. Why not? Yeah, totally. Let's do it. And it's like, there comes the progress getting erased again.